I have in front of me here a high definition 16 channel 960H DVR. The model number of this is QR960D16. Okay, so you can see what comes in the box in front of me here. So basically it's in this outer box here. It's a nice presentation box, and inside it we have all the main things: the DVR, the power unit, the user manual, etc. So I'm just going to move this out of the way so we can focus on the actual contents here. So the first thing here is we have a compact but easy to use remote control. We have a user manual. The user manual on this is the same for the 4, the 8, the 16 and the 32A, because it's completely universal or very uniform design right across the interfaces, the design of the DVRs. It's in English, and it comes with a mini CD. You'd use this, we'll say, in conjunction with your PC for loading software on to allow you to view it over your network, etc. And so that's pretty standard. We have also here a set of screws that would use for mounting an internal hard drive inside of the DVR here itself. We have a set of AAA batteries here, which are used with the remote obviously, and also we have a mouse here for controlling the DVR. And finally we have a 2 amp 12 volt power unit here, and we'll notice here there's a little LED light on it, and that's very convenient because if we're having problems, we're trying to figure out, we're getting power to the box, etc. We can actually check here and just check there's power as far as the power unit itself. So what I'm going to do at this point in time is I'm just going to move all the accessories out of the way here, and I'm going to turn the DVR around, and what we'll do is we'll actually have a look at the back of the unit and just see what the main features there are. So I'll just spin it around at this point, and I'll just move around to the front of the table, and we'll just quickly discuss the main features here. So the first thing to notice here, we have a bank of B&C inputs here, so you can see video inputs, and it's numbered from 1 all the way down to 16 here. So it's just B&C connections directly. We have a video output here, and we have an audio output as well, so we can connect in the sort of what it would be an old style way of connecting. And we also have audio inputs here as well, so white and red with 2 sets of them here. In terms of the more normal way to actually send output from this, what we would be doing is using the HDMI, and this is taking advantage of the fact that this is a high definition DVR. So it means that it can be used with the new 960H cameras, but it's also backward compatible with the older cameras. So if you were, say, upgrading your DVR, had some existing cameras, wanted to add new ones, all of them will work directly on this. So it just makes the upgrading process a lot financially less painful and a lot less work involved in as well. We have a VGA output here as well. It's used with traditional monitors. The main difference between these is simply that VGA doesn't support audio, but with DVRs it's not a huge issue. HDMI is great simply because you don't need to buy a special monitor now. You can connect it directly to your TV for viewing, and because all modern TVs have HDMI inputs. If we look here at the LAN connection, this is used for simply connecting this on for to the network for remote viewing, etc. And then if we look at this USB port here, we can see here that we'd use this for either upgrading firmware, we could do it for extracting or recording, or adding an external storage device. And we'll see here we have a 12 volt power input, and that's very important, we'll say, because if we're using this in a remote location, we could actually power it directly off a 12 volt power source. Unlike the smaller DVRs in the range, there's actually an on-off switch here. Okay, so you can turn it on and off using this switch. If we see these bank of connectors here, what we have is we have an RS485 for adding on a PTZ camera, so we can control it from here. But also then what we have is a whole bank of sensors, where sensors can be added on to this here. So it's numbered there from 1 all the way to 8, and there's 2 alarm inputs here as well. You also have this IR extension here as well. Okay. So what I'll do at this point is I'm just going to angle the DVR, and I'm going to connect a total of 3 cables to it. So let me just see here. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to pick up my 12 volt power supply. It's 2 amps. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to insert it directly into the power source here. Okay. And the switch is in the on position. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take an output from here and run it directly to the TV via the HDMI cable. And finally what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to grab the picture output, and I'm going to run it directly across here. So I'm just going to connect it to camera 1 at this point. I could of course connect it to anyone, but simply to be able to find it neatly on the screen here. This is probably the way to do it. And I've actually rotated that the wrong direction. So there we have it. So there we have it fully connected in here. So what I might do now is just grab the mouse and I'll just head back around to the front of the thing. And we want to just show some cool features here, especially in terms of the touch panel. Okay. So the first thing here is we have a 960H camera. It's actually a 50-meter camera, and it's focused directly onto this monitor behind, which is our panel, which is only a few inches away, of course. So the beep will stop in a few moments here. So you'll see here, by default here, it's actually just coming up with the 16 camera thing here. I'm going to just cancel out with the setup wizard, and probably ask me to confirm that in a second, okay? And what I'll be able to do then is we just have a menu screen that's here, okay? So I can get that menu screen, I can bring it up and down with the mouse, but what I could do here as well is, if we just hit the menu button over here, we can just hide that there, and it'll actually, this is where we need it to go, and then just go OK. So what we'll do here is, I have a search button which we could use for searching through recordings. We have a mute button as well. We have a channel up and down button, and that's really just for saying what camera we're viewing. So by default here it's showing them all, but it's defaulting back to 1, I suppose. So what I'll do here is, if I come along and I go here, I can just say, just bring up channel 1 only. But if I go plus again, it'll go to channel 2, and if I go plus again, it'll go to channel minus. Now if I come along here and hit the all button, it'll bring up 4 cameras, it'll then bring up the next 4, the next 4, the next 4, and if I hit it again, it'll bring up all 16, or it'll bring up 9 cameras, it'll bring up the next cameras, and then eventually what it'll do is it'll go through. So just by hitting that button repeatedly, you can go through all the main menu functions on it. So it's really cool from that perspective. You'll see in the center here, we have an actual PTZ control panel here. So we had a PTZ camera here. We can actually tilt it, rotate it, etc. Directly from here. And once again, that's a really great feature because it just makes using and accessing it really fast. Rather than having to go looking for a joystick or looking for a mouse, you can do it much quicker this way. We have a play pause, and we also have a record stop functionality here. Don't have a hard drive in this particular one, but we will show it later in the video series. And also we have a menu escape functionality here, and we'll just use that for bringing the menu up. And I just press that button there. Yeah, brought it up there, and I've hit the escape button, just get rid of it there. So I'm going to, so sort of on reflection on this one here, it's a big step forward on the previous very reliable and popular DVRs that came from IQ CCTV, simply because it's now high definition, it can support high definition analog cameras. So that's a big improvement. The fact that it's a HDMI output on it means it's much easier to connect it into your existing television setup, etc. And the fact that the user interface is so much improved on it means that it's just a lot more user friendly. Another thing I'll say is that, as we saw for the manual there, it's the same manual for the 4, the 8, the 16 and the 32 way. So it just means when you get used to these DVRs, if you're installing these professionally, it just makes moving through the range that much easier. So that's it anyway, an overview of the high definition 16 channel 960H DVR.